Hello everyone, welcome to GoTarryn TV. I'm Taryn the Traveling Trainer with GoTarryn Personal Training here in the greater Atlanta area, about to welcome back another returning guest to today's show, Ms. Kristy Wegert. Now before Kristy rejoins us back on today's show, I'd like to ask everyone out there, if you please be so kind as to like this video, leave us a comment, and share it with all of your friends and family out there. Now Kristy Wegert, as you know, she's the founder of My Workout Buddy. She is our fit and friendly resident that we like to have on GoTarryn TV. She's done a few of these video blogs with us in the past, and she is awesome. You're going to love her. And for the next half hour, we're going to talk about specifically strength training. What is it? We're going to define it. Why is it important? How much of it do we need? And also, we're going to take it into another realm here. We're going to take strength training and kind of compare and contrast it against other recent trendy things like Orange Theory, F45, CrossFit, and the rest of them, the HIIT interval training workouts that you hear of. So we're going to take a look at that here for the next half hour and kind of talk about that and discuss it. And again, Kristy is very intellectual, very excellent. She's an ACE certified personal trainer, and she's going to tell us all about the benefits of strength training and why you need it. So come on back and we'll have that discussion here momentarily. And remember, with GoTarryn Personal Training, it's your time, it's your investment, it's your life. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone. And as you can see side by side, as I promised, we're welcoming back to today's show on GoTarryn TV, Ms. Kristy Wegert of My Workout Buddy. Kristy, how are you doing out there today?
Fantastic. How are you, Taryn?
Very good, thank you. And appreciate you coming back on the show. And also owe you a thanks for a couple of great referrals you sent to us. So I was able to interview Abby Griffith and also Doc Pruney. So thank you so much for those two referrals. They're great.
Absolutely. Fantastic people.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, before we get into today's topic, how did you meet both of them and work with them as colleagues? Just out of curiosity.
Well, Doc actually is not a colleague. My husband bought me a gift to do his Ninja Core.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Obstacle core. So I met him there, and we started talking about what kind of training I do, and I mentioned your program, and so that's how that started, was that I thought he would be a cool person for you to interview.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah, he was terrific. And yeah, so thanks again. And so was Abby too. I know Abby's new studio is going to be opening up soon. So, again, we're well connected, well networked, and I always like to interview you because you're such a wealth of information. Obviously, being an ACE certified personal trainer, and you've lived it. Personal testimonials you've shared here on the show. Obviously, you know what you're doing. So, with the strength training that we'll talk about today's topic, you hear a lot of people talking about what is strength training, why do I need it? In layman's terms, people wonder, well, why do I need to? That doesn't make sense. Break down muscle fibers and hurt myself to get stronger. What sense does that make? And then also we hear about what we'll talk about is the trending, such things like CrossFit and Orange Theory and F45 and all those. So before we get right into it, though, for the beginner who's kind of intimidated by all these crazy machines and dumbbells and weights and such, how would you define strength training and why do we need it?
Traditionally, I like to think of strength training as, picking up a weight and resisting gravity, but that's what I learned first. So, a dumbbell, barbell, but it doesn't have to be. It could be resistance bands. It could be, suspension training like with a TRX or something.
Sure. Yeah.
So there's just lots of different ways to resist against a force so that you're tearing down your muscle fibers so that while you're sleeping and when you're eating, you're growing that muscle back so you can become stronger.
Very good. Absolutely. And, typically, how many times a week would you recommend an individual get strength training in, about roughly?
I like, it depends on the person, but I do think that, ultimately you want to do 3 days a week, 2 to 3 days a week, a full body.
Sure.
Unless you're getting really farther along down and you want to do a leg day and a back day and those kind of things, but that's later. But yeah, I say, for the beginner, novice, and maybe even the intermediate bodybuilder, you'd probably do 3 days a week. Yeah,
certainly. And as far as, again, we're going to get into this, but lately we've seen a lot of trends with, these weren't around back in, like, for example, the 1980s, we had Jane Fonda and all the videotape libraries and machines, and of course Arnold Schwarzenegger bodybuilding became popular, World Gym, Gold's Gym. Now it's more so, like I mentioned just a few minutes ago, these kind of box gyms, and one of them arguably might have been CrossFit that started it all. And at least they got really popular with their marketing, and we're hearing about HIIT exercises, high interval, intense training, and such. So what's your general thoughts on that type of workout, those kind of group type of HIIT workouts?
I have mixed feelings about all of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to break down, like, for a beginner to walk into a class like that and having probably never touched strength training before. And they're going to be in a class where one person is leading, and maybe they don't have the core stability or the shoulder stability yet. So my fear in that is the danger of not being watched and not strong enough to be able to accomplish the things the teachers are expecting from them. There are 10, 15, 20 people in a room, and they're being asked to do a tire flip or a something. I think that it's, for somebody who's further down the line and they're not a beginner, it's a fantastic workout. And I do utilize those types of workouts with my clients as well once they've gone through their base building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
they understand how they're
much agreed. I definitely would agree with that. We hear a lot of the common risks and injuries, and even lawsuits, unfortunately, and especially in Georgia State, where I teach at, the CrossFit's one of the ones that we pick on because they're just so easy. There's a lot of them out there that are in litigation. But getting back to the traditional strength training, because again, I think sometimes people overthink things a lot. Like, for example, people will come to me and show me, let's just use nutrition for a second, and I swear this is the diet that so-and-so lost 20 pounds on, and it says not to eat any carbs, and you're just supposed to eat protein and fat. I hear this a lot. And a lot of times I think we're getting away from kind of just traditional common sense sometimes. And I think the same with strength training, because you defined it in the beginning. I agree, 2 to 3 days a week. We need that rest in between when we're breaking down the muscle fibers. And sure, making exercise is fun and getting group classes together, but one thing that I would argue against, like for example, like your CrossFit classes, I can't see how an instructor could watch proper form of someone doing a tire flip if there's 19 other people in the classroom doing 18 or 19 different exercises. I mean, would you agree with that, or what's your thoughts, like, on the personal, individualized structure of it?
Absolutely. My fear is when you have a big circuit going on and all of these people are in a room doing so many different exercises at once, that one teacher is never going to be able to catch, the person who's bending at the waist to do a tire flip instead of squatting form.
Yeah.
So it's a great fear of mine that, that kind of teardown is just too much for somebody right away. Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm answering the question exactly, but.
No, you hit it on the head. And like, for example, and I'm not trying to pick on CrossFit or even those types of gyms, because again, for each their own, but unfortunately, sometimes a lot of these instructors aren't nationally accredited certified. Like, what we mean by that, most people watching a video blog or listening to this say, what the heck does that mean? And as you know, ACE is one of the top of the cream of the crop. You've got a very short list of only just half a dozen or so of them. Most part, LA Fitnesses, Lifetime Fitness, all these commercial big box gyms, you don't see the nationally accredited certification of these trainers and instructors. And so when you're, like, for example, ACE is very oriented, much so, and focused on watching form and technique and proper, guidance. With personal training, for example, I don't like to train more than 3 or 4 people at a time. I'll take 2 to 3 at maximum, but anything more than that, for me, I feel like I just have 2 eyeballs. I can't watch so many things going on. So like you said, it is hard to watch that form, I think. I think that a lot of trainers probably agree with us on that too. That's why, again, I like the traditional strength training. What are your thoughts on your basic, again, you walk into a gym and let's say you've got the circuit training machines, like your lat pull down, your seated row, your seated chest press, tricep extension, bicep curl machines. Are you in favor of those machines? For the most part, it's a general question, or do you not prefer those machines, or why? Either way, I guess.
Okay, I don't have those machines. I prefer to if I was just going to walk into a gym, I'd walk up to the dumbbell rack.
Sure.
Because just preference-wise, it's more balance challenging. It's better for the core.
Yeah.
You're working with right to left and balance. When you put yourself into a machine, it takes away all of that stuff, and it does not take into account whether your core is strong or not. It doesn't do anything to stabilize you. It doesn't worry whether your shoulders are stable or your core is stable. So it will ignore those things in preference of isolation.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be good to finish off a workout. Like, okay, you've rocked out your legs with your lunges and your deadlifts and all that stuff, and you're going to go and do some hamstring curls on the machine.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand using it a little bit for some isolation work, but to make nothing but a circuit of your workout, and it's really a matter of education.
Yeah.
I feel like it really does the person no favors to strengthen your limbs and forget all about all this stuff in here that's holding you together.
I'm the same way, for example, when I go to the gym I work at, it's Wildwood Athletic Club. They've got a ton of different circuit strength training machines, which are wonderful. I mean, they're wonderful and awesome. I go straight up to the squat rack bar. I'll do some pull-ups. I'll do push-ups on the floor. I'll grab dumbbells. My exercises are pretty boring for the most part, and I don't make it fancy and rethink it and get on these crazy machines and all that. And the same goes with these, which I'll talk to you in a second about, these gimmicks too. If you remember a few years ago, the shake weight, and I don't even know what it's called, the balance. Yeah, I know you've heard of it. And the other one I don't even remember. You stand on it and you kind of twist your body, and it looks like you're surfing. But there's other things that I think that people have kind of in a trendy way invented and try to say, hey, this is the effective workout and such. But again, staying with this whole group mentality with, like, let's say a Orange Theory. They're not. Let's get on them for a second. They found a good marketing brand, that's for sure. They look like they're more cardio paced in terms of getting to the orange, working out to the burning of the fat burning and endurance zone, which is great. But my question is, like in an Orange Theory class, would you get enough strength training, something like that, where you're basically all you're doing is just high reps and cardio intervals?
Right, and you're going based on your heart rate monitor, and it's up on the wall, so you're competing with other people.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Funny to me because everybody's different. But when you're doing circuits like that, your lat pull downs, say, might happen every 5 minutes. So how much are you really tearing down? By the time you get back to lat pull downs again, that back is completely recovered.
That's a really good point.
There's no tear down. I mean, really, if you're doing strength training, what is it, a minute to 3 minutes tops that you would take a break?
Right.
And you're the whole rest of the room before you come back and do that again. So maybe a beginner who'd never touched it before would see some improvement. But yeah, it's basically just a fat burning program.
Mm-hmm. And that's a great point, Kristy. I see behind you too, with the studio and the different exercise equipment you've got, like your bands, BOSUs, dumbbells, etc. You get your whole workout in there. You mentioned a few minutes ago about core and stability. So, for example, like let's use a couple of and just take a couple of pieces right behind you there. What would be a couple of examples and advantages of, say, like the resistance bands that are hanging right behind you? How would you, in terms of recommending some of the advantages that those have for folks who might not be familiar with them?
So what I like about resistance bands is that, so say you're doing a bicep curl. I don't know if you can see my arm, but a dumbbell will start to be effective after a certain point in the bend in your elbow. And it stops at a certain point. So the effectiveness of the dynamic move is, 45 degrees to right about where you start to really squeeze your bicep. The band, if it's hooked under your foot and you pull it all the way from the floor, the minute your wrist curls way down here next to your leg, all the way up until you could touch your shoulder, it is still your bicep. So you're getting tear down through a full range of motion without any consideration for gravity. So the difference I love is that, I love dumbbells, but let's say you want to just add a little extra something to your workout. the dumbbell is only going to pull against gravity, and it's only a certain range of motion. So you've repped out as many as you can with your 25 or something, and then you go and you take a band and you do even more with longer range of motion, tearing down from here all the way to the elbow. Yeah. So there's benefits there that are just unbelievable. You also don't have to worry about, let's say you have bulging discs. You know, you don't have to pick up a heavy weight and load your spine in order to lift and do resistance training with bands.
Yep.
So, you know, somebody who's been injured or who maybe has neuropathy in the feet and can't tell if they're balancing themselves well enough with these heavy weights in their hands, bands are a great answer to that.
Yeah, very true. You're right. Yeah, excellent. And, you know, other pieces of equipment too, the kettlebells too. That's another one that a lot of people aren't familiar with. And what do you like about kettlebells, Kristy? What's your favorite things to do with those?
Well, obviously, the kettlebell swing is just the classic. And you see people doing it. You see people doing it wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not judging, right? But one of my favorite moves that I've been playing with lately is a single arm military press where I'll get one.
Sure, yeah, please.
I promise I'm here. Upside down. So you're working already with grip strength. You're working with stabilizing the wrist and forearm.
Yep, exactly.
And then press it overhead, and you're doing as many as you can on your weak arm and then repeating it on your stronger arm, however many you did. And so this really takes you farther behind what you could do with a regular military press because there's so much going on from your wrist to your elbow that never happens with a dumbbell.
True. Yeah, exactly.
That's one of my favorite moves lately.
Yeah, I've never done that one before. I'll have to try that. And then you've also got the BOSU ball too. That's another one that is excellent. Any favorite exercises on that one that you prefer on the BOSU?
Yes. And I can't do it by myself, but when there's a partner involved, what I like is to I'll have my client standing on the BOSU, and I will hand them a medicine ball. And they do a straight chest pass at me.
Oh, okay.
So it stabilizes their core, and it has them rocking all over the place. I don't throw it at them. That's just not really wanting to hurt people, but I'll throw it at me, or sometimes they'll do ball slams down with it, and so they have to stabilize different muscles to stay upright. And so it's a fun balance challenge where it feels a little more like playing instead of, you know, the tedious balance stuff where you're on one foot and waving your arms and stuff.
No, you're right. And any kind of exercise you do on that thing makes it a million times harder. And just standing on it is hard, because just standing on it, you could really feel like shaking and, you know, the core working. So that's, you know, you're right. How about I noticed in your studio too, Kristy, you had something that looked like the TRX, but I don't know if it was the TRX. It's like, is it the TRX that you have in there? That's the one? What, yeah, so for folks who don't know what TRX or suspension training is, what are some of the advantages that you find with that? And also, how versatile is it? Are there a lot of exercises we could do on that thing, right? There it is, right there. There you go.
I love this thing. So, you know, it seems like everybody knows how to row on it, and true, that's really kind of a classic. One of my favorites is actually a double move. It's a hip hinge row.
Oh, okay, okay.
You know, you're sitting down, and then you're popping your hips back up into a reverse plank.
Sure.
And then you row. And instead of swinging yourself into the move and using all this momentum, I stop each part of the way. So it's, you know, you lower yourself into the row.
Yeah.
You hip hinge and stop.
Okay.
And then you pop yourself and stop, and then you row and stop. And, you know, the farther away you get from the hang point of the TRX, the easier it becomes. So anyone at any level can start suspension training. It looks a lot scarier than it is, especially with the larger bodied clients. They question me all the time. Are you sure that's going to hold me?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I love that question, because I just have to prove it to you, and I can't wait because it's so much fun. It's seat belts.
Yeah.
So yes, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. I think that thing's awesome. And it's good for traveling too, just like the bands too. I mean, you just take that thing with you, and there you go, bam. Behind you also, you've got obviously the squat rack too, another piece of equipment. What do you primarily like to do on that thing there? Because again, I know there's a lot you can.
There is. One of my favorites lately has been teaching push-ups on the bar.
Oh, that's cool. Yep.
Yeah,
Sure.
because some folks are not ready for the floor yet.
Yep.
They're not ready for knee push-ups or
Right.
bench push-ups.
Yeah, exactly.
So a good floor is higher. And so, we put the little roll pad or some gloves on just so the pressure isn't so much on the hand.
Yeah.
And we might be like, I don't know, from the arm, I don't know if you can see it from here.
Yep.
From the arm up, it's about 10 holes down from the R and Rogue.
Yeah, no, that's good, because then you could just progressively, little by little, each workout. That's awesome to do that. Yeah.
Well, what I've done recently with one person is we've been doing a wide push-up where the elbows are off to the side, and instead of lowering the bar, we started with a tricep push-up. So it's a narrow press near the chest, and they're getting all the tricep back here and a little more in the delts.
Oh yeah.
So developing both before we lower.
That's a good burn, and that's awesome. You could do upper body, you could do legs, obviously, on it. I mean, that's really cool, having that piece.
I have a landmine attached to it,
okay.
which is a new piece.
Yeah.
But we love the Meadows rows. Those are, when we go to on dumbbell, I have a lot of plates here, so we could definitely get into heavier pulls that are more stabilizing for the back, and that's great.
You have a very impressive gym, and then obviously, you mentioned too, you got the medicine balls and some dumbbells too, and between all that, my God, I mean, you get a full 1 hour workout in right there with everything, and you can always mix it up with variety, which is, again, something that is terrific, because each of those pieces of equipment, you have 5-10 different things, whereas a machine sits there like a piece of furniture, and you can do one movement on it, so that's excellent to be able to do that. What's your favorite out of all of the pieces, or what's your favorite exercise to do, I guess I should ask?
Like me personally, or with my clients?
Just for you yourself.
I mean, I'm kind of an outdoorsy person. As much as I love being in the gym and doing all of this, it keeps me well and strong. I love hiking.
Yep, absolutely.
It has nothing to do with this room, but this makes that possible. So it's connected. But in here, I would say my go-to is my deadlifts.
Deadlifts, good old-fashioned deadlifts, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I'm proud of those because they were not easy to come by, and once I finally figured out how to do it correctly, I'm really good at them.
No, that's really good. And again, I mean, your studio has everything, Kristy. You've pretty much got all bases covered, and I guess just a couple of more notes here in terms of comparison with the cardio, the intervals, I should say, the HIIT trainings and such. And again, we're not obviously telling people not to do them, but in terms of if they need their strength training, they should definitely, no matter what, supplement those workouts with something like we've been talking about the last 20-25 minutes, right, in terms of strength training and bodybuilding.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you need all of this, and keep mixing it up. My message, always been my message. It's, you start with your base building and you get some basic cardio and you get some, strength training down.
Right.
And take good care of your body, and it starts to come together. And then, my goodness, yes, do some HIIT training once you know the basics and you can get in there and do it. But some of those silly machines you were talking about, it seems like they're trying to reinvent the wheel when it's completely unnecessary.
Yeah, a lot of times, right. Yeah.
There's no magic pill, and if somebody's going to tell me that one piece of equipment is going to solve all of my problems, it's that panacea thing. I don't buy it. It's too snake salesy, or snake oil salesman, or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. Well, it's kind of like we talked a few minutes ago. We were laughing about the shake weight, and then some of the other trendy. All the time they're coming out with something new, and
I think. Yeah, it's the same message I'm getting from some of these gyms or some of these diets. It's like you can't just have one rigid, very particular path and that's all you get. There's so much out there, but it isn't just one way, and it isn't just that. And I don't know, I'm going off on a tangent, but I do feel like we need all of this, and it's all good as long as you understand what you're doing to yourself.
Yeah, good point. You also mentioned something really important there too, because we've been talking about strength training this whole time, but that whole nutrition topic can be a whole nother video blog, another 30 minutes we could do together, because you've done it from personal experience, losing 100 pounds. Obviously, that had something to do with nutrition, no question about it. And that's a big part of what a lot of, I think, our potential clients that might be slipping up on. And they're getting a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of myths, and again, clicky, gimmicky things out there, and especially supplements and, like you said, diet pills and everything else. And what it comes down to, it sounds like just like you said, you need everything. It's a whole total package, and that's what it definitely.
I can't achieve that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
I've felt that way. These pills and stuff. I've been approached by a few of these different.
Right. Yeah. In this business, we're always going to be. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. But. No, it's good old-fashioned hard work and elbow sweat and just putting in the hours in the gym, and there you have it. So this has been excellent, Kristy. This has been a really cool video blog here. I've really enjoyed the last 30 minutes being able to kind of discuss this with you. So speaking of working out and working out with you and becoming your workout buddy, let's talk about how the folks can get a chance, if they're interested, if they're watching and listening. How do they get in touch with you personally and find out more about your programs?
The best way to get in touch with me directly is to text me at 404-641-7173, because my ringer is never on. I'm usually with a client.
Right.
Also, my email is kwmyworkoutbuddy@gmail.com, and I have a new URL for my website. My marketing guru told me to change it. So it's www.my-workoutbuddy.com.
Okay, we'll get that up on the screen. I saw that, and you still have the fit and friendly kind of theme with it too, correct?
I do, but we're getting away from it because it's been my workout buddy for a little over 6 years now, and she was trying to get me to be more cohesive with my brand.
Cool.
So
no,
I understand.
Great. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but I am friends with it, so. But,
you are, definitely. Excellent. Well, Kristy, this has been a lot of fun. Again, this 30 minutes flew by way too quickly with you, like it always does, and I can't thank you enough for your time and helping us being educated on differences of strength training and HIIT intervals and such. So a lot of really good enriched information here to help a lot of people out there. So again, thank you so much, and I hope you have a good rest of your weekend. And we'll get your contact up on the screen here momentarily.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kristy. We'll see you.